Okay, we're back, boys. Back with some more GD. Yay! Oh god, what have I done? What have I done? Help. Okay, we're good. Help. Epic. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, well, let's play Milo out for the time being. In it. Do you want a Discord call? You know what? Oh, cool. You know what? Sure, I guess. Well, no. Not yet, not yet, not yet. Yeah, just not yet, guys. But yeah. Oh boy, we already got a new persona. Hey, paisanos! Super Mario Bros. Super Show! Oh, okay. Crystal Corruption. Good luck. Okay. Any easy demons you recommend? If you haven't tried Ultra Paracosm, I highly recommend that. That was my first demon, and it's really easy. Okay, this is kind of fun. I'm getting down with this. This is kind of fun. These stairs are a bit weird, though. Not really. It's kind of interesting. Okay, yeah, see, you hit all of those. Because the pads take it down. I'm making a completely different level because your gameplay is trash. Yeah, pretty much. I agree about the stairs. Oh, did you make it? Or did you not make it? Oh, no, you did make it. Okay. Yeah, the stairs are a bit weird, but other than that, the gameplay is kind of good. It's kind of fun. I have 33% on it, and 41 on Retro Circus as well. That's pretty good. Okay, come on. Ooh, okay, we got some spicy ball there. Some pretty tight timings. God, take Gianchesh, like, talk about out of context. Like, it's not like that's what she said joke, but it's pretty damn close to that. Okay, I just want to beat this. Hopefully it's not too long. Wait, BRB? Okay. Ooh, okay. It's medium, okay, okay. Is it copyable? No, okay. Dang it, whatever. Okay. It's pretty good, I would say like a 6-star, I guess. OMG, where if I would get ultra high detail mode. Practice mode? Sure, I'll go for that. These orb timings are a bit odd. Go. I am going. Oh crap. Okay. Just S blocks right there. Oh, you can just skip that. It's yeet, 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 yeet. I couldn't agree more. This is so true. Oh, come on. Okay. Oh god. Oh god! Okay, okay. Yeah! Okay, I might be able to do it! Okay, that part's a bit weird. Come on, I'm not even looking. Keep looking at chat. Took about an hour on it. I only took about an hour. It could definitely be improved. Yeah, but I like the start. And also it's only medium, and most levels tend to be long length. Oh, here we go. Yeah, you can skip that. I like those monsters there. What? Huh? Oh, hey, we got a request. Wave is easiest game mode. Changed my mind. Maybe. Really depends on what you put it in. Invisible spike? Oh, you gotta be joking. Okay. Okay, I'll do Venom's requests in just a second here. Damn it. God damn it. I just really want to beat this since it's so close now. Sorry, Venoms. Request has to wait for just a second. Go. Can't agree one more with this part. God, what? Who was that? Yes. Cool. Slopes the wrong way. My favorite. Okay, you wanna know what? Good level, but there could be some work needed, but I don't know. It's not that bad. Circus Act. Ooh. Got some spicy UFO weirdness. Kinda like the original Crazy. Disney music from Crazy too. Oh god. Okay. Okay, so you click the second portal and that portal. That's good. Jeez, okay, there's a lot of stuff happening. Oh god, what? Oh, I realized it uses my colors at that part. Ew. My colors always look disgusting no matter what, honestly. But I kinda like this gameplay, it's interesting. Has a lot of ideas taken from Crazy and Crazy 2, but I don't know. Like this part, that part is super, like, crazy. As in, like, I don't know. Never mind. I like this little challenge. Oh god. Here we go. We got Fire Game requesting this level. Okay, I'll play that after I get a bit further on this. It's easy? Okay. We'll see about that. Thanks for feedback. Thanks for playing. I enjoy feedback. I will work on extending and buffing it soon. Cool. Me level. Cheater. That's funny. What happens? Can I get past this still? Kinda curious. Not really. It's a lot easier. It's not really cheating if it's harder to do the cheaty route. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, oh wait, first I got like it. It's probably 6-star. Oh, never mind, it's long. Okay, maybe it's a bit harder then. Escape Gauntlet. Okay. Apparently it's easy. So far, a bit confusing. Okay. Cool. What? Okay, this is a bit weird, but okay. What? God, this is kind of messing with my brain. I'm probably just an idiot, but I don't know. Hey, Brendan Nolan. How you doing? Welcome to the stream. Okay, he's got... Oh, God, wave? Okay. Will you play my level? Totally. I'll just send it, and yeah. Send the ID. Easy now? It's a bit of a weird challenge. Kind of like weird, strange. What? Okay. Yeah, it's pretty easy. Oh, there's a coin there. Okay. Yeah, I'd say it's pretty easy. Just a bit odd to get used to. Done to parts. Like, that's a weird transition. That could be worked on. Also, what is up with that fist thing? It will require practice mode, by the way. It is very confusing and will require trial and error. Okay. And then somebody just sent an ID. I'll do that in a second here. Let's say 5-star. Not that bad. Okay, so apparently, oh boy, time to die. Let's actually see. Okay, yeah, this is a lot of time. This is a lot of trial and error. Oh my god. No. This is really mean. Holy crap. It's okay. It's okay though. It's not. I'm not saying like you're mean. I'm just saying this level is like super mean. Wait, what? Oh, okay. I got him wait. Help him wait. Okay, never mind. I'm not waiting anymore. My character was just completely white. Yeah, that's a weird thing in practice mode. What? No. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. Oh god. Dot. Hey, it's Guitar Boy! It's Guitar Boy! Guitar Boy's in our stream, boys! Your mod. Instant mod. Guitar Boys. Guitar Boy's here. What the hell is this? What is this trash? I can't click. Okay, there. Is that how you do it? No. Okay. Yes. Wait. Do I get moderator? Yes, you do get instant mod because you are Guitar Boy. Oh, thanks. Jesus Christ. Oh, cool, it moves. Oh no, a swing object section. A swing object section at the very end. The very end! What do I do? It just allows you to time people out, but please don't do that. Just, it allows you to spam if you really want to. The Yandy. Yes, the Yandy. My favorite. Ooh. Half decent level here. Hey, SAK, actually very good level here. I like it.
Landing safely on Earth with its precious burden, Krypton's sole survivor.
Okay.
As the years went by and the child grew to maturity, he found himself possessed of amazing physical powers. There once existed a planet known as...
Right. I sold my... I'm so epic, I sold my PS4 for a PS6942666. Okay. Wait. Why'd you retract all your messages?
Krypton.
Okay, this part is clearly on... Oh, never mind, we got 9 circles part. That's kinda cool. I like this. It's interesting. Okay, I would say 6-star. It's pretty fun. Yeah, wait. Okay, good. You came from the comment? What, does he have like a really popular comment? No. You just got... Okay. It's so trash, but oh well. Okay. Did I like it? Just wanna double check. Yeah, I did. I didn't like this though. Probably demon. Okay, this is apparently trash, but oh well. Things that you do. What the hell? This is like the best one so far. This is the best level so far. What the fuck are you talking about? This is literally the best level so far. This is amazing. Ooh. Ooh, I love this. Okay, we got another level quest from very shouty name because his letters are all capital. But okay. Okay, hang on. I want to see a bit more of this level because this is amazing. There's also a great song. It's like future funk, isn't it? Oh. Yeah, that's a bug on my PC. I have no clue why it does that. Very annoying. I really don't understand why it does that. But point is, I'm gonna play this level now. Press start X. Oh no. Vision layout. I don't have the number. Okay. Okay, I like the idea of this. Oh no, super fast. Oh, okay. I like the idea. Let's go with like my normal. I'm gonna keep playing this for a second. Try and do it in practice mode. Maybe in a little bit. Hold on, sir. I just realized that's OSS. Damn it. Okay, so then we got vision layout, apparently. And then we got Mario Sonic for life, okay. Vision layout. Which one? Which one? Which one is it by? Oh, what the heck? I saw this on two different... I just saw this on a different stream like 2 minutes ago. That's funny. Okay, but which one is it? Are you ever going to continue the Minecraft no jump challenge? Well, not really, because I think I lost the world progress. I might do a no walk forward challenge in a little bit. So, and like sometime soon, so that'll be kind of cool. Here, he isn't telling me which one I'll do, so I'll just do this one. Rift to go. Random song 10. Oh no. Ooh. Oh cool, it's like a Fortnite Rift. Pretty cool, right? That's cool, Fortnite Rift and GD for some reason. I like the idea. Okay, then we have Demon 456 Gaming. Later Funk. I like the sound of it. I'm going to assume this is inspired by Future Funk. Or like what? Thanks, no problem. God, everything about you is so many different games. You have Geometry Dash, then you have Mario, Sonic, and then we have your video. Then you have your saying about Fortnite. Okay. Deadly laggy. How is this insane fast? Okay. Anyway. It took me almost 2 hours to make the Rift to go object. Yeah. I can see that. Is it good? It's pretty good. Here, I'll play it in practice mode for a second so I can get more of a feel for it. Okay, that's a bit of a weird jump, but overall I like the idea. Oh, why'd I... exit out. Okay. Well, yeah, I like it. It's pretty fun looking. Organizer. Hell yeah. Okay, guys, I'm back. Welcome, everyone. Okay, here's Pip. Wait, why does that one dislike? Okay, I just thought it would be something weird. Oh, okay, it's this. This glitch. Oh, come on. Gain one dislike. I know, right? It just doesn't deserve a dislike. It's just a weird glitch. Uh-oh. Is this 144th bug? Uh-oh. Oh, no. We got 144 hertz bug, boys. No, I can't beat it. That's good. Say hard if it was, you know, not a bug. Okay, did I do this, or is this the one I just did? Okay, I didn't do this. Move tool chaos. Oh no. Okay, this isn't very extreme. Okay, never mind. Okay, cool. So. Cool. What the heck? Durami plus 140 words. Oh my god, yeah. Sure. Okay, you mean, okay, so this one instead? Okay, cool. So, that's pretty cool. I'd say, like, hard, I don't know. Collab. Sounds nice. I like it. Is this the right one? Oh, it's this song. I always forget. Oh, come on. Dang it. Oh, can I play this? Oh, yeah, sorry. I'll do that. Missed that. Whatever, I did insane. Whatever. I'm just going through things quick. Because I'm getting a lot of requests. Got Dank Style GD. Whee! Okay. This looks pretty cool. Kirby remix. Wow. Oh, okay, no, that's not where the name comes from. Play my newest level? Maybe. Could you send the ID? ID or name, if the name is unique, that is. That's pretty fun. Okay, is this the one that I just played, right? Yeah, okay, now it's time for Dank Style GD's requests. No clip challenge XXX. Yeah. Okay. Okay, now it's just getting ridiculous. What the fripp? What the fripp? Yeah, what the fripp? It's my 3-year anniversary on GD? That's pretty nice. Hey, you wanna know what I'm gonna do? Wait. Lakes for days? What? What's this? Why is this copied from this? What? Why is it copied from Lakes for Days? What's up with that? Oh, because you probably sold their fake spikes, or used their fake, not sold, that's not what I mean. You used their fake spikes. That makes sense. I wonder how much of this I could do actually legit, kind of. Okay, that part is just impossible. That might be possible. That's definitely possible. Yeah, that's all possible, probably. Then we just have to just suddenly... Still made both of them? Oh, you made both of them. Yeah. Duh. Base after pace? What? Oh, it's like a remake. Yeah, I was really confused for a second. I was like, what? What's the point of this? And then I realized it's a remake. Looks pretty good. I think. Yeah. curved version of base after base. It's pretty nice. Thanks for playing. You earned a sub. Thank you. Always nice when you get subs from these streams. Always nice when I get subs in general. Also, holy crap, okay, let me like this. Normally like 5-star, right? Thanks. No problem. Likes for sure. And here, let me like this. Auto. It's no clip. And yeah, I already like that. Yo, pick F or S. What? GD's hardest game? What's this? No way! Wait! Oh my god! Hell yeah! Wait. Oh, okay, cool. Wait. Wait, what's happening? Okay, it's a bit weird how it controls, but it works. I'm gonna go with F, whatever that even means. Okay, this appears to be very buggy. I mean, like, alternate games are hard. I've tried to make alternate games before. They're very hard to make. Why won't it let me move? This is so weird. It literally won't let me move, just so you know. Your game is kind of broken. Maybe it's 144 today? I don't know. For now, I'm gonna rate this. F's ID is that? Okay, got it. Well, here, you wanna know what's super funny? I just wanna show you this super quickly. I literally made something exactly like this, but like more like actual GD. Really recently. Oh god, what's up with the cube? What? It broke. Huh? Huh, the cube breaks on 100. Oh, never mind, it doesn't. Whatever. Okay, here we go. Look at this. I made this really recently. Isn't that funny? Okay. Cool. Oh yeah, I just like my own level. God damn it. Now time for even. Very low quality song here, but okay. Like it's in like the bit rate or whatever, not audio bit rate. Or, it just sounds really weird. What the heck? Got the ID. Okay, cool. So is this it? This is really weird. I like it. Interesting song too. Very obscure, I guess. But yeah, that's pretty cool. They like 7-star, I don't really know. Pretty fun. Okay, now time for F. Oh, okay, so I was picking the I like the element of choice you gave me there. I did like that. Okay. What? Whoa. Okay. I've actually seen that level, and that was my inspiration? No way! I literally made that level! Ha! That's funny. That's really funny. That's really funny, because I made this. I made this version. That's really funny. What a nice coincidence. Okay. Epic boss fight. Oh no. Oh, okay. very confusing, but okay. It's on banner. Banner advanced. Damn it. Yeah, I wish I had banner lights, like simple flips. Don't this banner lights not work though right now? Oh my god, I can't do this. If I have a good set PC, I'm probably gonna try and be Estelarnos on stream. I have no clue what that is, but okay. Sounds interesting. I just realized this boss fight is kind of synced with the, like we have, wow. I don't know, never mind. We'll search it. Oh no. Okay, oh wait, did I like it? No, I didn't. Okay. Oh god. Oh no. Epic! I couldn't agree more. Ah, it's the same song. Is there any sound? What do you mean, is there any sound? Did I just play my level? Oh no. Strobe. Give me mercy. Okay. I can't hear it, whatever. Okay. Get ready for crunch. God, we're getting so many freaking requests. Oh, okay, good bug. It's a bug that I swear only happens on my PC. On my PC. It's so stupid. It just occasionally just springs you up into oblivion. Yes, into the game Oblivion. You just get Oblivion just launches for literally no reason. Color. This is pretty epic. God damn it. Strobe, more like stroke. Here, I'm gonna comment that. Yes, good one, Jet. Okay, yeah. Search up. Okay, I'll search these up in just a second. Great, thanks, Discord. Fancy Moon Man. Oh boy. What? This actually is pretty cool. This looks pretty nice. Ooh. Factory X. Get ready for cringe? Oh no. It's just a dream. I don't know. Just a meme. I should make a version of it called it just a meme. It's dumb. Don't like the fact that I have to sit through that intro every single time. Also, yeah, no. Probably 5-star, I don't even know. Then we got Demonic. Okay, I'm going to assume it's this one. This is not the song that comes to my mind when I think of I'm gonna update even to be copyable. Okay. So this is pretty much this is not the song that comes to mind when I think demonic, but okay. Okay, is this the right ID? I'm not that good at making levels. I don't know. It's okay still. Oh. Never mind then. Somehow that didn't work. What? That's weird. Didn't even show up. Oh, I see what happened. You put in O, and you put in, there's a 0 in the name, but you put in O. What? Okay. Interesting. Yes, good sync. I kinda like this, it's interesting. Interesting sync choice here, but okay. So you can copy it. Okay, cool. I might want to do that after I do a little bit more of this level. Oh, come on. I suck. Also, here's something you may need to know. There is something known as upside down slopes. Wait, let me show you this. See that? I did not hit that. It's tighter than it looks, and so you have to flip the slopes around to the other side. Just remember that for future levels. I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna play the duel. Okay. 2, 8. Okay. Okay. So the duel. Trying to find a duel here. Probably over here. Right? No. I don't know. Where's the duel? Help. Oh, here it is. Okay, I'll do these in just a second, so, just no fear, I'll play your local requests a bunch. Okay, so, I guess like this. Okay, this seems pretty cool. I like it. Ooh, jeez, this is where it gets complicated. I like it though. Okay. Cool. And we got this. Till it's over. No way! Wait. Oh my god, yes! Okay, JSAB spoilers, question mark? Probably should've said something about that. I mean, like, I don't really care, but you know. This is a really good remix, too. It is a good choice. Song choice. This looks really good so far. Great job on kind of mixing. Thanks for playing. Oh, that's it? Oh, I thought it'd be a preview. Oh. Is it literally not even a preview? It's just kind of that's it? Okay. That's pretty good, though. Okay, we got another funny bone level. Holography. Oh god. And I'll do Anime Queen's level. What? Okay, I'm really confused what's happening there. But okay. Interesting level. I don't even know, like 7-star. Okay, I'll do this one first. Check my account. So, how about you look in the description? You're stupid. You're a fucking idiot. And nobody will ever fucking love you. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks a lot. Well. Yeah. Good job. Great. Great. Okay. Here, I'll play a bit longer. More oof. I know, exactly. That was just stupid. Yeah, exactly. Go back and need them. Oh my god. Well, literally you're a moderator. I'm assuming you can delete the message. You can view deleted messages, so yeah. If you really want them, really want the sauce, then go look back. I'm not streaming that. What's up with this? It's very confusing. Same D-Man layout with this song? Okay. The pyramid race. Oh boy. And just out of curiosity, I'm not going to share it until I'm gonna like stop, just so I don't like, just so. So here, I'm gonna see what the other request is. What? Okay, I'm really fucking confused by this person. Literally, one of them has anime titties, and the other one is a completely normal level. What? What? I'm just so confused. Why? Literally, that dude, that person, they requested a completely normal level, and then, like, that level. Why? Why did you do that? That's so stupid. So pretty much you're getting a 50-50 chance of getting yourself banned on this server. Okay, we got this, which is already featured level. It's pretty good. I do like this. Whoa. Really chains up here. Okay. What? Okay. Pretty cool. I'm gonna work on a boss fight for my level. That's cool. Oh, now the moderator just handled this? What? Oh, okay. Turtle. Just beat it? Really depends on how hard it is. Pointless. Ooh, this looks pretty good. I like it. I like this abstractness. Damn it. Oh, damn. Should've got that coin. Well, here, I'll do it in practice. Actually, I probably won't end up beating this, sorry. I'm just getting requests so fast. This kind of level are common because they're easy to make. I've tried to make abstract before. There's some challenges to it. I respect people who take the time. Like, even if it's not that long, I'm not very good at decorating, like, in my opinion, so, like, I don't know. This is pointless. What if it isn't? Back? Okay. Why does Star Chaser say XD so much? Just a little question there. Leon Annihilate. Oh, I've played this before. But I have the original song on my laptop, but not on this. I actually might be able to beat this. What the heck? I'll taint it. Okay, that looks pretty good. If you add some more detail, yeah, that would make it look a lot better, honestly. But other than that, yeah, it's pretty good. Also, where's that song? I mean, where'd it go? Where'd the not okay level go? Did I already delete it? I guess so. Back? Okay. I love I'm streaming. Okay. At some point I'm probably gonna end the stream pretty soon. Because I'm kinda getting tired of doing a bunch of levels, but I don't know. I can do a bit for longer, maybe, if a request pops up pretty soon. I'll play some of my layouts, what just happens. Where's Flying Spaghetti Monster? Thought I got that on the GD servers. Did they delete it? Jesus Christ. Okay, there it is. Oh, here we got a level request there, yo. What'd I do? Okay, I click any buttons. Okay, read me for a second. Background.
I got you.
Ooh, I like it. Also, there's some good gameplay too. Jet, what? Are you gonna ask me what her milk is? Cause I'm not. No. Bean Annihilate. Ooh, another version. It was not Jess. I'm really not sure what to think of this. I mean, like... honestly... No. Oh, it's a copy? Okay. By Riot? What? In channel. Hang on, I need to find this. Hang on. Hello. Society Ender 666. I guess this is for videos. Okay, there it is. Okay, I'll end the stream off with this just because it's kind of related to what happened earlier. But it's a cool level. This is a really cool level. If you zoom out, close to no. And the copy, yes. Oh, great. Barracuda. Oh, dang it. Well, you got no song. Hi, person with a sad face. What's wrong? Don't end the stream. Probably going too soon, sorry. It's just kinda, yeah. I'm just kinda. Foodland! Okay. I'm working on a level? Okay, maybe. Oh, here's the person. Test 1. Test 1, good luck. Oh, okay, I get it. No. Okay. It's kinda interesting what it is. Okay, we got another request. This one's really old. Kappa boss fight. I really don't know what to say anymore. I remember this. Oh god, what is this bug? Oh my god, look at that bug. Jesus. Okay, whatever. Point is, I don't know. Okay, so here I'm probably gonna end the stream about now. But here, I need to show you this epic meme. And before you're like, whoa, 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 slow the frick down, Jet. Trust me, I've seen worse on YouTube. And it's not been taken down. Okay. So I sent this in Polygon Donuts server. It's called Sexy Anime Girls at MP4. Opens up with this. Hit play. Oh, good job loading Discord. Yeah, that was great. That was some great Discord. That was some great. Okay, anyway. Either way, you got beamed. Oh, well, you kind of came in at a bad time because one, I'm showing that, and two, I'm kind of ending the stream. So, yeah. Oh no, I'm beamed. Yes, you just got beamed. Okay, well, sorry. Well, here, we can do his request. We'll do this dude's request. Do you have a request for us? Do you have a request for us? Because if you do have a request, we'll do that and then we'll end the stream. Except 2019. Okay. Repeat! Oh god. Trying to polish it? Oh yeah, right. I need to play yours. Send them in, boys. Yeah, we're doing the last ones of the stream. actually pretty cool. Ooh, I like this. Damn it. You subscribed? Do you have a request? Because we're doing the last request of the night. Okay, there you go. We're doing some of the last ones. So you're gonna be like one of the last 3 or so. Okay. Time cheaper. Okay, go check out my other level. Ooh, I like this! This actually looks really good. Holy crap. This is way better than I expected. I really like this. Oh, wait! Wow! Wow, it's featured. I didn't even notice. Wow. Wow, you're pretty good. Let's do reinforced. Curious about this. Wow. Never even... It's my friend I stole it from him? Okay, I'll first play it. Wow! It's probably lagging my stream like hell, but yeah. This is really good. Great job, dude. How many subs do you have? On YouTube? Okay. Pongo cat meme. Oh, that's from 8 months ago. I was like, what? That's kind of dead. Like, really dead. Wow. That's really cool. Holy beans, that's good. I know. Always.
Ouais, ouais, formidable de Charlie Oleg et de François Choron.
C'est quoi la meilleure chanson pour un samedi soir?
Ouais, ouais.
No.
Okay. Weird intro. Looks good though. Ooh. I love this song. I just don't want to die because it's... Oh, this looks really nice. Wow, thanks for playing my level. Yeah, no problem, dude. This is really cool. I just don't want to go through the intro again, that's all. I mean, please stop. The magma caverns. Ooh. Ooh. What's the song? Oh, it's Empire Toads. Oh, okay, that's how you get the worth mode, okay. Yeah, the intro gay. Too long. Bro, that copy. What's a copy? Oh, never mind, it's an ASCAP, yeah.
C'est quoi la chanson que tu chantes sous la douche?
Ouais, ouais, formidable de Charlie Oleg et de
It's uploading?
François
Okay.
Choron.
Got it.
C'est quoi la meilleure chanson pour un samedi soir?
Ouais, ouais.
No.
Damn it. Please stop saying Foodland. It's okay, but I don't know, never mind. Here is this one. Echo Lands. What the heck? This looks really good. You're seriously like probably the best creator I've seen on my stream. You're honestly great. Holy bean, please stop. Oh, you're talking about, oh, you're saying holy beans because it's so good. Yeah, exactly. You're honestly, these are amazing levels. My beans are running over these levels. Please stop. Hey, it's here. Okay, so I'll do first. I'll do this, and then I'll do funny bones, and then that will be the end of the stream. Nothing else after that. Oh, well, maybe this. Maybe this request. Oh, this looks pretty nice. Okay, it's auto. Never mind. I thought it was auto. Oh wait, it's literally rated and it's 4-star. Okay, so we'll do this. Thanks for playing my level. Seriously, no problem, dude. You're awesome. Yet another level. Here we go. Who are you? You must be killed. Okay. Yes, good intro. Who are you? You must die. Dang it! I'm so close. Okay, dude, I'll only do one of your levels. Insane, please? Okay, you're doing all of these. They're all the same level. Never mind. All the same level. Okay, bye. Bye, King Wolfie. Woofy. Woofy. Foodland, please! Oh, it says, are you kidding me if you die? Oh my god. I'm getting way too many requests. But it's okay. We'll do Sandy Tax, and then I promise that will be it. Hopefully. Because I've been trying to end the stream for like 5 minutes straight. What is happening? Okay, I need to beat this just because, you know, he's been working on it for like the entire stream here. Okay, Funny Bone. No more requests. No more requests. After Sandy Tax, that's gonna be it. Promise. I can promise that. So, I'm sorry everybody who's requesting now, because you'll have to show up next stream. Okay, whatever. That's a good level. That. Okay. So let's do this. And then we'll do Sandy Tax, and we'll be done. Wait, what? Oh, he's spamming? Okay, that's weird. Okay, I like this so far. Oh, he's saying to practice, I think? Okay, it's a bit weird. Why do you keep... It's peace. Okay. Well, 70 insane 4. Okay. Okay, so we're doing Sandy Tax. Fine, I'll do Shoys. Or however you pronounce that. Can I request a level? Fine. Okay, you will be the last request, Stormtide. Oh, this looks good. Okay, you will be the last request, Stormtide, and then I'll end the stream. It's also a good level. Also bugs. Okay, we're good. Okay, damn it, whatever. Okay, that's a good level. You speak lies. What? Thanks, you have a sub, by the way? Thank you! Love when people sub. What? 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 What's happening here? Okay. Bugs. Oh my god, the bugs. Okay, Sandy Tack. Okay, he might be Spanish. I don't know. You sub too? But you've requested before. Okay, I'm sorry, Shui, or however you pronounce it, but this is really buggy on my PC. For some reason, don't touch. I'm not touching. I promise. Okay, hands off. You seeing this? It's a bug only on my PC, I swear. Why is it a dog sound? No. Jet, your 1K special better be good. I don't know. It's gonna be hard. I think I might do like a highlight where it's like, I'll show like GG. Okay, funny bone. Again, all the requests. No more. Yeah, it's Yoshi. It's not a dog. Yeah, it's a really weird bug only on my PC. It's so weird. It's not about your level. It's about my PC. My PC is super buggy that way on Geometry Dash, where for some reason when there's an object, my butt smug, please shut up. Where there's an object, where if an object is moving below me, either direction, it will just fling me upwards randomly. It's so stupid. Oh, come on. Okay, I'm going to beat this since this is the last request of the night. God. Into the game Oblivion, yes. Are you 60 hertz? Actually, no, I'm 144 hertz. I just kind of suck at the game. That seems like a personal problem. Yes, go out of Oblivion. Go into Oblivion. As in, literally, the game Oblivion just launches. That was actually a pretty good joke. Isn't it? That triple isn't that hard, by the way? Okay. Yeah, it just looks very threatening. It's easier than it looks. I need to buff it. God damn it! Of course, in this time we've got another request. You okay? Yeah. Okay, fine. Alex, whatever, GM, you'll be the last request of the night. After I complete a challenge. God damn it. No, I'm not doing this. Demon. Okay, you will be the last request of the night. I promise. Triple spikes, I agree. This actually might be pretty good. It is. I like it. Home GPD by slave. Yes, he is a good mod. Okay. Well, that's gonna be it. Then there will be more people. No, there won't, because I'm ending the stream. Well, I hope you people enjoyed. Let me like do something to end the stream. I am a good mod. Yes, you are a good mod. Okay, thanks for watching, everybody. If you have other requests that I didn't end up getting to for one reason or another, then like, you know, just then request them another stream. You can turn on notifications if you really want to, so you know you'll know about my uploads and perhaps when they do the next level request stream. So thanks for watching, and there's your broad sound effect number 2 for today, I guess. Okay, bye. I don't like this. Zooming in on my face.